Hi, everybody. We are here
Hi.
today, Brittany and I, and we're going to be talking about making your plate. I'm excited because it's literally one of the easiest ways to create a healthy meal while helping you stay satisfied. And if you're looking to lose some more weight or maintain, it's a great way to do that with having kind of a balance. So that's what we're going to be doing. And we want to say hi to all of those out there that are joining us.
Hi,
Looks like
everybody.
we have Wendy and Lovey and Martha and Aaron. And are we showing up on Facebook, Brittany?
I don't show that we are. I'm trying to refresh my page, though, and
Okay.
see.
Okay. So we'll see about that. And
Yeah, no.
okay. We'll have to figure out our little glitch there because we've kind of had that happen a couple times. Well, regardless, we're just happy for you guys to be here that are with us here on this call today. And for those of you who are first-time joiners, raise your hand. Let us know. Let us know if you've been here with us before. I recognize some of your names. I know Lovey has been here before, and Aaron,
Yeah.
and I think Martha.
Martha.
Um, Yeah, let us know. Let us know if it's your first time or if you joined us before. We are going to be kind of diving right in here shortly. We just want to see who else here. We're giving everybody a minute to log on. Lammy says, I've been here before. I like that name.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome. Martha says, first time. Oh, I guess
We must have
we
had
have
a
another
different
Martha.
Martha.
Yeah, glad you're here with us. We hope you enjoy. Um, and so basically, we're going to be kind of be starting out by talking about planning a whole day of foods or leveraging your commitment to kind of meal planning for the day or for a meal. For example, planning maybe what your breakfast is, planning what your lunch is, and then kind of looking and simplifying it with ingredients that kind of would help make a plate. And we actually have a little handout for this today too that will be just kind of good as a guide for any of
Mm-hmm.
you who later want to kind of go back and like review what we're saying, and we'll show you where that is. There's a little link at the bottom of right underneath Brittany and I's pictures, at least where it's showing up on my screen. It says support group handouts. Click here. I'm going to kind of share my screen and I'm going to show you where that link takes you and then also share the link here. So bear with me for just a second. You're going to see my screen kind of go. So it should
Mm.
be taking you to a page that says support group handouts. It's on our ProCare Health page. ProCare Health is our sponsor today. And under that is all different kinds of handouts on all different things that we've done before, as far as different kinds of programs. The last one down here is healthy portion planning and making your plate. And whenever I open that, this is what it looks like. So this is what we're going to be kind of sharing. And I know that's probably a little bit small, a little bit maybe hard to read for some of you guys who are just pulling it up, but it is available as a handout later. So I'm going to kind of stop sharing for just a moment.
I went ahead and
And
put the link for that, the direct link for that, in our chat box too.
oh, wonderful. Thank you.
My lighting.
And I'm kind of checking back on Facebook. Brittany, I don't see it either. So I guess we're have to figure that one out. Um, why it's not going live, but that's okay. So, so here, let's get started. I'm going to actually kind of go back. I want to talk a little bit about the graphic that we're going to be showing and talk about, how to make a plate
Mm-hmm.
and balanced, make it healthy and balanced, and what that kind of looks like. So the very first thing, the plate design, and I'm going to go ahead and maybe I will just go ahead and share my screen. Maybe it'd be easier for explaining. What do you think, Brittany?
Yeah, go ahead. Are you
Okay.
talking about like what portions on the plate and how big?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that would be
Yes.
easier for everybody. I agree.
Let me kind of make it as big as I can get it without cutting it off.
I can
Okay.
see that, but you just can't read some of the things that are
Read.
listed. But I think this is a good visual.
Okay, perfect. Um, so so I'll kind of read off some of it. So the very first thing, let me pull up my little notes here. A plate design. So for a bariatric portion, okay, so it may be a little different than a normal person, a 9 to 10 inch plate, and that's kind of on the bottom here. It says 9 to 10 inch plate is what is recommended. And we actually have someone by the name of Amanda Clark who has designed portion plates that we're going to be having on one of our events here coming up really soon. It's within the next, um, I think it's at the end of December. I'd have to look at our exact date. We'll share that link here in just a little bit. And she actually has designed plates just for bariatric surgery patients. But if you don't have a plate that's designed just for you, just remember a 9 inch to 10 inch plate. It's kind of nice if it has like a little border around it, if you can kind of see where the fruit and the vegetables kind of are. That kind of helps with keeping things even in a smaller portion amount. So the very first thing we're going to say here is what you would be looking for instead of counting calories with this type of option is looking to do half your plate with vegetables and then a fourth with starches or carbohydrates, and that includes dairy, so those two, and then the other fourth with lean proteins. Okay, and we're going to be talking about what those include. Now, fats, things like oils, nuts, seeds, and things like that are going to be kind of just incorporated into this. You're not going to have a separate setting for that, but if you're eating the right kinds of foods, likely you'll have about 25 to 30% of calories from fat. Okay. Um, so the big thing is it's just to kind of basically be thinking about what kinds of foods are in each of these groups. Now you can have combination foods, and we'll talk about that too as well. So I'm going to kind of move up my slide. Brittany, are you still seeing this okay?
Uh huh.
So first I'm going to focus on the things, the do's, and then there's a little use in moderation here. But because that's kind of small, I'm going to kind of put this big, and then I'll make the other a little, I'll open it up to the moderation pieces. So vegetables, we're talking about things like artichokes, asparagus, bell peppers, beets, anything that basically are more non-starchy. These kind of vegetables keep your blood sugars at more of a stable level. They also have a lot of vitamins and minerals and fiber. And one of the important things is kind of balancing out with different colors of your vegetables because each different kind of vegetable, depending on if it's like a root vegetable, comes from the ground, or if it comes from, a plant, like it hangs off a plant or hangs off a tree, can have different properties in kind of sustaining your health. And so I'm going to kind of, without reading every single one of those, because again, this is going to be available, I'm going to kind of go down to use in moderation. And that is things like things that are fried. So French fries, fried vegetables, and then things that have a lot of sauces or butters on them.
Mm-hmm.
So Brittany, do you have anything to say, or is there anything in the chat box? Anybody have anything to say about this so far?
We don't have anything so far. However, I had a question. There's this statement that I've heard in the community, and I just want to clarify because you have corn listed here, and I've heard that high vegetables high in carbohydrates can sometimes be something that bariatric patients should stay away from. What are your thoughts on that?
I think if you're choosing things that you're wanting to be more non-starchy, corn can be one of the higher ones. But I
Mm-hmm.
also think just like sweet potatoes can, certain types of squash can. Um, Looking at the list to see if there's anything else on there that kind of stands out. Those are the big things. So, having a balanced diet, I think, includes those things. But I also think that, like, if you're wanting to decrease your starches, you may want to consider maybe using those things a little more in moderation than some of the others. It really depends, and it depends on what you're balancing your meal out. I mean, really a great question because some programs may list those things as kind of like watching or monitoring,
Yeah.
eating in more moderation. But you could actually include those if you wanted to in with when you're looking at your plate and looking at the starches on your plate. Like if you just don't have a lot of other starches, those might even be considered more um, you know, kind of as a more of a starchy type of food. But that's great. I mean, it's a great question. I don't think there's anything wrong with eating those things. They're
No.
still fairly low in calories and they're still really healthy. It's
Yeah.
just maybe just considering some foods might have a little bit more starch in them than others.
And I'm happy you brought up not frying your vegetables because some people, I feel like, it's hard to think of other ways to eat cooked vegetables that still sound appealing.
Uh-huh.
And we've talked about air frying before. I know that's technically it's in the word, but it's still better than actually, breading them and frying them. So if you guys are interested in any of that, I would urge you to go watch our other live that we did on our air fryer recipes.
Yeah, and it really and truly it's so good that you brought that up because there's so many different ways to cook vegetables. I mean, you could
Mm-hmm.
put them like certain types of vegetables you can put in a little bit of water on top of the stove.
Yeah,
Um, One of the things that I've kind of became familiar with the last year is baking them or in a convection oven or an oven and kind of like at a higher temperature, sometimes around 400 degrees for about 25, 30 minutes. Things like chestnuts or cauliflower or Brussels sprouts or onions. A lot of those type of things are really good. Grilling is a great way to get vegetables, get a really good flavor.
I
And
agree.
sometimes I found, even in the air fryer, just a very thin coat. I've bought this little sprayer, and Brittany, I don't know if
Yeah,
you have
we talked
one, the
about
little oil
it.
sprayer, olive oil. If you have something, just a tiny bit of oil on it, sometimes that will help it with cooking properly in making sure it's moist and not real dry, especially in the air
Yeah.
fryer or on the grill.
Sometimes I've
And
noticed they can get over dried in the air fryer. It just depends on what you're making. Like
mhm.
broccoli, it always burns for every time for me. So I just either saute it or I bake it in a regular oven, like you were talking about.
Yeah. And there's a couple of comments. You want to read those, Brittany?
Sure. Yeah. Kristen, thank you. I was just getting ready to thank you for saying this and for that clarification. She said that the key is to pay attention to how the patient is affected by starchy foods like corn based on our experience. And I think that's a great way to answer that question because everybody is different. So it's so hard to say, okay, no, you can't have this at all. Um, and everything in moderation, of course, too. If you're eating corn with every every meal, I mean, it's a lot different than having it, a couple of times in a meal within a week or a month or whatever. And Lovey, I've taken to roasting a lot of vegetables. Yes, us too. If you're new, which is, I think you said that you were, we started this new health journey together as a team on the ProCare health team anyway. And one of those things, the very first things that were taught is not to eat anything that had processed foods or anything like that. And one of the things that our trainer talked to us about is how to appropriately cook vegetables and make sure they're still healthy, right?
Yeah.
I'm
And
trying
the
to
good thing is
find.
you can do a ton, like we have a segment, one of these live events on meal prepping, and you can do a ton of things in the oven,
Mm-hmm.
which is a great way to do them. Like potatoes, maybe, and celery, and carrots, and onions, bell peppers. You could do a lot of those things in the in the oven, and do them at once, and have food left over too, as well. If you're an okay type of person for leftovers, some of us are, and some of us aren't. I know with
The
leftovers.
struggle is real for me sometimes, but
I'm
uh,
sort of picky. Sometimes I can do it, and sometimes I just can't.
well, like it just depends for me. So like, Thanksgiving was last week. I'm really tired of ham and turkey because that's all we've been eating for like the past week. So I last night Zach and I were talking about what to make for dinner, and I told him as long as it's not turkey or ham, I'm fine. I went ahead and posted the link for the air fryer live if anyone's interested in watching that too. We kind of talked about like vegetables and cooking and recipes and stuff in the air fryer.
Yeah, thanks, Brittany, for doing that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen once again, and we're going to kind of go into the next segment here. and that is protein. So we were talking about, you were just talking
Mm-hmm.
about your all the leftovers thing. So, what we're kind of looking at, there's a lot of people out there that don't eat meats. So I have the meat-based proteins and then the non-meat-based proteins and then foods to use in moderation.
I
So
think
let's
that's
kind of
great
go
you
up here
did
and I'm going to
that.
blow this up a little bit bigger so that you guys can read it. And we're going to talk about meat-based proteins first. So things that are more like lower in fat and high in protein is usually what's recommended. So chicken, fish, lean ground beef or turkey, lean ham, low fat sausage, pork, which lean chops or tenderloin, low fat pork sausage, salmon, shrimp, top sirloin steak, turkey, wild game meat. That could be things like deer, like venison, or buffalo, or I don't know, depends on how wild you want to get. There's all different kinds of stuff depending on where you live. But those are kind of meat based. And then we're going to go to the non meat based, which is right down here. And we're going to talk about those for a second. And those are things that maybe like if you're a vegetarian or you're focused more on not eating animals. So there's different variations of that. Sometimes people will include like fish in that, and sometimes they'll not include that. Sometimes they'll include eggs in that, and sometimes they won't. But things like almonds, so that could be nuts, that could be beans, that could be by beans I mean black beans, kidney beans, chickpeas. Those are all super high in protein and also in fiber. Um, I don't know why I can't pronounce this next one. Edamame.
Edamame? Edamame. Yeah.
And
That's
it's
one of
my
my
own.
favorite ones.
Is it? It's
Mm-hmm.
like I made this list, but sometimes my mind and my brain can't combine to be able to speak correctly. Lentils, nut butters, peanut butter powders, protein bars,
Mm-hmm.
tofu, protein shakes. Anybody else have any ideas on there that's maybe not listed? See
Me
here.
personally, I can't really think of anything. If anybody
One,
else has anything else to share, let us know.
we're also going to be talking just in a moment about dairy, which kind of fits somewhat into our carbohydrate range, but there are certain foods that are kind of non-based meat proteins, which I consider it's dairy, but
Yeah,
cottage
like cottage
cheese.
cheese
Yeah,
or
but we're
Greek
going to kind of combine that.
yogurt.
Yes, 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 yes. And we're going to kind of combine some of those in another category, but they could be like if you're wanting to get proteins in, but
Mm-hmm.
not wanting to have
Did
the animal fats. Were you going to say something?
Did you see that Kristen commented and said seeds like quinoa? Quinoa.
Yeah, so I would almost consider that into our carbohydrate category, but I would think that I think quinoa actually has quite a bit of protein in it. Do you have any idea?
I am not very familiar with quinoa. We don't really use it in my house. The only time I get it is if it's at a restaurant. But
I'm
she
gonna
said
Google
yes,
it.
it's a higher protein starchy option. It's probably better
Um,
than white rice, I would assume. Um, as far as like there's higher protein content.
it's probably like one of my favorite things, and I've basically, as far as I'm looking up the nutritional facts real quick because I just thought it would be interesting to maybe include that since she mentioned it. Um, On this website, it says 4.4 grams of protein, 120 calories, fiber 2.8, fat 1.9. I guess it depends probably if you know how it's prepared, but cooked is probably the most common, I would say.
Yeah.
It says 71%, 71.6% water, 21.3% carbohydrates,
Hi,
4.4%
Deborah.
protein, 1.9% fat. Cooked, it would be 222 calories instead of uncooked. But I just think that's interesting. It's so good, and it's really good for stabilizing blood sugar. It has, I mean, a relatively good amount of fiber in it. So yeah, that would be wonderful. And then foods to use in moderation would be things like fried chicken and fish, high beef fat, high fat
Mm-hmm.
luncheon meats such as bologna, salami, and pepperoni, processed meats such as hot dogs and bacon, and poultry. And then fish, which would be in butter or cream sauce. Fish would be good, but just if it had a lot of extra stuff, on it. Um, so those are all the things to kind of consider. And I'm going to stop sharing there. We're going to kind of talk here real quickly about, um,
Hi, Deborah. I wanted to say hi to her. She's with us all the time.
yeah, yeah. Hi, Deborah. So, okay. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and keep sharing. I'm going to go on to the carbohydrate section because I think that that
Carbs, my
is,
favorite.
I know. Who doesn't like carbs? And
Mm.
actually, on this, I kind of put it as starches just so that people would kind of maybe look at it maybe in a different light. So under this, I have starches. I'm going to make this small for just a second. And then I have starches in dairy. So we're going to be talking about both of those. Okay. So let me kind of make this big once more so you can see it. And then later here, a moment, we'll talk about foods to use in moderation. So this is starches. Um, So fruits would be included in the starches section, things like apples, bananas, blackberries, blueberries. Rice would be something. Now, sometimes people can tolerate certain types of rice after bariatric surgery and some can't.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, I know our program that I worked for prior to being a consultant for ProCare, I worked as a coordinator for a program, and we did not really recommend rice, at least for the first year, and even just really watching and using in moderation. Sometimes certain starches will hold on to a lot of that extra fluid, like it kind of swells up. And then after you get it in your stomach, it can continue to draw fluid in and kind of make you uncomfortable. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the main reasons for sometimes certain types of rice may not be recommended, especially right away. Um, and then things like fruit. So we have dried fruit as well, like I have dragon fruit and dried fruit right underneath those. And then things like English muffins. I have hamburger buns. Now, here, there's all different kinds of variations. If you're wanting something lighter, you could do, there's actually breads that are considered light. They'll say light on the package. Wheat might give you a little bit more fiber and a little bit more stabilization with your blood sugars. So that might be something to consider. High fiber cereals, kiwi, lemon, lime. And I'm not going to read each of these, but just some ideas. And here this is where I have quinoa listed under down a little further. And then I also have things like sugar-free applesauce, sweet potatoes, tortillas, whole grains, things like that. And then foods to use in moderation down here. So white bread and pasta, stuffing, cakes and cookies, pretzels and chips and granola bars. And what I just want to say here is that sometimes programs will be all or nothing, and that's understandable. I mean, obviously, they want you to have, the most weight loss that you possibly can. But what I would say is, um, don't put yourself in a position where you never have anything, because sometimes if you're craving something, just a bite of something can actually take your craving away and help you feel more satisfied. Now, if you're getting, there's a kind of a fine line there. If you're getting where you're craving something and then you're eating a whole box like you did before bariatric surgery, that probably wouldn't be the healthiest thing. So just kind of understand there's different lines of, and you know your
And
body better than
everybody's
anyone else.
different.
Yes,
And
and how
everybody's
your body
different.
reacts.
Yeah. Kristen said we find rice. So going back to your like what you're talking about rice, how the different people might have different opinions about that. Kristen said we found rice swells a great deal and causes lots of issues for our patients. Just yeah, I would understand that. I
Yeah,
would. She said I would rather they use quinoa, farro, or wild rice, especially compared with white rice. So if
I
you're
totally, yeah,
struggling with that, you could try quinoa, farro, or wild rice. And I know that this, well, actually, I don't know how starchy cauliflower is, but a popular thing that we use here in my house is cauliflower rice. You can buy it frozen, you can make it yourself. So, Kristen, let us know how you feel about cauliflower rice, too. if that's good
Oh, yeah. I
for
had not even thought
patients.
about that.
And what's really
That
nice
is.
about cauliflower rice is that you can season it very easily. It absorbs different flavors really easily.
How do you make yours, Brittany? Your cauliflower rice?
Like whenever we home make it,
Mm-hmm.
we boil the cauliflower for I think like 5 to 10 minutes maybe until it's really soft, and then we just cut it up in smaller pieces. And you can either use a food processor, like what we do. If you don't have a food processor, you can hand grate it too. If you have like a cheese grater or something, and just use the smallest grated setting, if that makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
we just use a food processor, and I put just a little dash of olive oil in there, or avocado oil is a really, that one's good too. It has a high healthy fat content in it. Um, but just a little bit, like not even half a teaspoon probably for a whole thing of cauliflower. And all that does is it kind of makes it all stick together so it's more rice like instead of
Mm-hmm.
like a powder, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. It sounds really good. We I hadn't even thought about making my own. I'm kind of lazy, I guess. I've bought, you can go to the freezer section, and,
We do that
buy
too.
cauliflower rice. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
we
kind of
do
an
that
easy way
too.
too. Looks like Deborah says I use cauliflower rice all the time. It's really, and it does not take, to me, it doesn't really taste like cauliflower too much. It's more,
No. It's whatever you season it with, and that's what I'm
mhm.
saying is that it's nice because it absorbs flavor really well. Like, I found this kung pao cauliflower rice recipe, and I'm gonna try that this weekend. Instead of chunks of fried chicken in kung pao sauce, it's basically like I'm sorry, cauliflower florets that are
Hmm.
baked, and then you make your own sauce, and it's yeah. Or you could even put the sauce on the side if you don't like it. I know some people, instead of buffalo wings, they make buffalo cauliflower bites. I've never personally had that. I don't like buffalo sauce very much, but I'm sure it would be good.
Kind of just gives you a whole different flavor, with,
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes I think we crave certain flavors, and I think that's a great way to get in those flavors without getting in the calories too. Because
yeah,
buffalo
definitely.
sauce is not real high in calories.
Mm-mm.
Although, if you're early on after bariatric surgery, it may be that I don't know if it'd be something that you'd really want to try early on because
Stay away
your
from
belly may be a little
spice.
sensitive.
Yeah,
Yeah. I would say waiting for a while after surgery to try some of those hotter, spicier things, maybe
I
6 months to a
agree.
year. And if Kirsten, it sounds like she works for bariatric surgery program.
Oh,
Let
it
me
is
see what you tell
Kirsten. I'm
people.
sorry. I'm so sorry. It is Kirsten. Uh, Cauliflower rice. It's still pretty starchy, but better calorie content and preferred to white rice or white potatoes. It carries flavors well and would still keep portions small. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen once more, and
Yes.
we're going to go back to starches one more time, and we're going to kind of focus it. I'm going to make my screen big once more here as we talk about um, the list of things that may be recommended. So we have almond milk, baby bell cheese, um, cheese, all types. The lower fat versions, maybe over the higher fat, low
Mm-hmm.
fat cottage cheese, fat-free Greek yogurt, lactate milk, plain or light soy milk, reduced fat cheese, skim or 1%, sour cream, low fat. Maybe also some of these may be considered towards the protein options. And we kind of talked about that earlier. So the cheeses, the yogurt, it's possible depending on the amount of protein content. So kind of using your judgment on that. And then I'm going to kind of run my screen up just a little bit here. And then foods to use in moderation might be things like whole milk, full fat cheese, ice cream, creamer, sour cream, regular, and whipped cream. So,
And to be honest with you, if you get uh, non flavor, so just plain non fat Greek yogurt, To me, that tastes the same as sour cream. That's what I use. I don't
Yeah.
I don't use sour cream. Really, it's just one. I do it for the convenience factor. It's one less thing I have to purchase at the grocery store, and you can get a big tub of plain non-fat Greek yogurt, and you can up your protein intake. And I just like plain Greek yogurt because it's kind of similar to cauliflower in the sense that you can flavor it with anything. So I'll put berries on top of it with maybe some, like a little bit of granola, not a whole lot, and maybe a dash of honey, like half a teaspoon or a teaspoon, something like that. And that's what I like. I really like Greek yogurt, the plain one though.
Mm,
I don't like the flavored ones.
yeah. And maybe you mentioned this about seasoning it. Did you mention about seasoning the Greek yogurt to make it into a dip too?
Oh, yeah, I didn't mention that, but you can definitely do that. You can make your own dill dips. You can make ranch dip. All you have to do is get the powdered ranch packets, and they make those in low fat content as well. What other dips can you do? You can make dessert dips with it.
I've actually just used seasonings too, like making my own kind of like little seasonings.
Oh, yeah, you
So
could do that too. My husband really likes sriracha sauce. Once again, that's spicy though, so you might want to stay away from that. Um, Kirsten said Greek yogurt works in chicken and egg salad in place of mayo. I didn't even think about that. That's great.
mm,
Vegetables can be classified into two main types based on their starch content. Starchy vegetables include potato, corn, peas, and lentils, while non-starchy varieties include broccoli, tomatoes, cauliflower, and mushrooms.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, thank you for that. So depending on like your plate, if you're setting it up for the starches piece, just look at what you're getting, and if you maybe have a lot of like higher starchy vegetables, you may want to include those with your starches in your plate as opposed to with your vegetable portions. Um, the site that I got a lot of this information off of was from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Let me look here real quick at my references, seeing if I have those. I don't have them on this particular, I have it on my other handout. American Diabetic Association. I also got some. And there's actually a plate method that they talk about on their website, which is kind of interesting. I'm going to copy that and I can paste it where I kind of resource some of this information. So it maybe, like I said, not everything fits into the same category as like the bariatric surgery diet, but I'm going to paste that here in case anybody's interested later in looking at that more. The next thing I kind of want to talk about is combination foods. And then we're going to talk about healthy fats and condiments. So, with healthy fats and condiments, those are just extras that you put on your plate without having to count calories. Again, this whole concept of making your plate is just basically if you're one of those people who doesn't want to have to count calories and you're just wanting to focus on portion size and just wanting to focus on a balanced meal. Okay, so combination foods would be things that include that don't neatly fit on one of the sections of the plate. So maybe things like soups or casseroles or sandwiches, pizza or pasta. So you can still use the plate method when preparing and portioning combination foods, just identifying the different foods in the dish and thinking about where they would fit on the plate. For example, maybe like a slice of pizza in the crust would be the carbohydrate, the cheese, and the meats on top would be protein foods, and the tomato sauce would be the vegetables, the non-starchy vegetables. So if you are going that route, again, that probably wouldn't be necessarily the best option, but if you're wanting a piece of pizza here and there, and it's something that um, you're wanting to fit into your diet for whatever reason, I would just say kind of looking at it. The thing is a lot of times with pizza, it's hard unless you get like a really thin crust or cauliflower crust or something like that. It's a lot of times it's a lot of bread. So, there are ways to make quote pizza without having to do that. I've even seen it made on little zucchinis, um, or having, like I said, some other type of crust that might be a little bit better. Cauliflower, I think, is even one of those. I don't know if I mentioned that, but something that that you feel comfortable with, and then kind of looking at what is the toppings. If you're making it yourself, you can kind of address some of these things within that. But if you're not, and you're just wanting to kind of look at this and look at your portion sizes, that's what we're talking about. And then so basically, let's say you wanted to build pizza using the plate method, choosing maybe a thin crust to reduce the portion of carbohydrates, topping it with lots of vegetables instead of meat, or choosing a very lean meat, and then just sticking to one or two slices, very small slices with a side salad, so that you have half your meal is non-starchy vegetables. Does that make sense? I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
I
kind
feel
of
like it
help people put it
does.
into perspective. I know some of these things are things that maybe, again, follow your own bariatric surgery programs, protocol, and what they're recommending. I'm just kind of trying to put it into perspective if those are, because I think sometimes we think that every single thing is off limits. I would say the best thing to do is to stick to your program guidelines as much as you possibly can, because that's where you're going to have the best weight loss.
Hmm.
This plate method is basically just to help you with doing so without having to necessarily count calories, if that's what your goal is. And we're going to kind of talk about like healthy fats and condiments. And what I want to say with those, I'm going to pull up my screen once more, Brittany, just to kind of talk about those.
Sure. While you're pulling that up, Kirsten said you can also use sliced roasted eggplant to make lasagna. Yeah, I've heard of people making mini pizzas with sliced eggplant. I've made, you can buy jumbo portobello mushrooms that are like about this big, which might actually be perfect for someone who had bariatric surgery because it's a smaller meal. But anyways, yeah, so you can get portobello mushrooms and you can make pizza caps is what I call them. So you just kind of cut the top of the cap out of it and take that out. Just put a little marinara sauce, put whatever toppings you want, and it's a low carb pizza.
And the good thing is there are so many healthy substitutions that you can do. Like if you're
Mm-hmm.
craving something really bad, that you could substitute something and get in, like fill your craving without having to get a bunch of extra calories and things like
Yeah,
that.
and feeling
Um,
shameful or whatever about it. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Here, the next thing we're talking about here is healthy fats, and I want to say fats are part of the overall selection process and not separated out on the plate method. They represent approximately 25 to 30% of your daily intake and can be found in some of your proteins, vegetables, and starch selections. Kind of like what we talked about, your cooking or preparation methods, or maybe your meat has some meats typically have some fat in, even in the lower selection. So kind of just realizing that some healthy fats that you may want to consider using, like when you're cooking, like maybe with your vegetables or with your maybe even some of your fruits or starches, would be things like avocado, canola oil, coconut oil, cooking spray, extra virgin oil, flaxseed, Italian vinaigrette, light butter or margarine, low fat cheese, pre-made oil or vinegars, dressings. I like making my own because you can kind of put in it exactly what you want. Reduced fat salad dressings, spray butter, sunflower oil, and sunflower seeds. And then things to use in moderation here would be, regular butter or margarine, regular salad dressings, and full fat versions of Miracle Whip mayonnaise, cream cheese, sour cream. And Brittany, I know we've talked about this before. Like a lot of times too, like let's say you're making a salad and instead of putting dressing on your salad, sometimes just dipping just a little bit of your salad into the dressing, you can just save tons of calories that way because you're not like dousing your whole salad in
Mm-hmm.
on
So what you can do is you take your fork and dip it in the dressing and then put it in the salad and get your bite. You're still getting the flavor of the dressing with every bite, but you're not dousing your salad, like Brenda said, and
hmm
minimizing some calories and fat and all that.
yeah. Okay. And then I want to mention too here condiments. So on condiments kind of just helped
Bye,
add a little extra
Kirsten. Thank
life.
you for coming. She's got to run.
Yeah,
That's
thank you. And
okay.
we're recorded. So if you decide you want to come back, you're welcome to, and the
Yeah.
handouts are available. Appreciate
Yes.
you.
We'll
Um,
see you next week, hopefully.
Yeah. And so I want to say condiments, those are things that don't add a lot of calories. They just kind of add a lot of
Mm-hmm.
pizzazz to your plate. So, a little bit goes a long way. Balsamic vinegar, green enchilada sauce. You can use some ketchup and mustard. Ketchup does have some sugars in it. There are lower sugar versions if you decide to go there, or if you just
Mm-hmm.
don't use a whole lot. Lemon juice or lime juice, light teriyaki marinade, low fat or fat free Cool Whip, some low sodium broth, some low sugar barbecue sauce, pickles, relish, salsa, salt free seasonings and spices, Splenda or stevia, sugar free syrups, and Worcestershire. And then foods to use in moderation would be things like chocolates or caramel sauce and sauces high in sugar.
Mm-hmm. Um, and condiments. I know we haven't talked about this, but I also wanted to say it's the season for Starbucks drinks, and especially those holiday drinks. Um, just be really careful what you're ordering because I know that sometimes it's hard to think about and track the nutritional value of drinks, because it's something you just don't think about,
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I feel. My coffee in the morning doesn't count towards my day. I don't know why I think that, but so just be careful of what you're ordering. And if you didn't see last week, Brenda actually, or was it the week before, you did a latte swap
Mm-hmm.
recipe. So I'll share the link with that if anybody's interested too. I know that that's not really anything about making your plate, but just condiments, they can have hidden calories. I think that you don't think about. So that's what made me think of it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think too, one of the biggest things is we're going to talk here next about is serving sizes.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're also determining, what you're going to have, everything counts. Like Brittany said, your liquids count too. We're not even talking about liquids here, but liquids do count into all of this. So that is kind of important for you to think about. It's not on your plate, but it does count into your everyday calories. So kind of being aware of that. I'm going to share my screen one more time here, and we are going to go into the next page here, which is measuring foods. Okay. And can you see that okay?
Yep.
So a closed fist is about 1 cup. So if you're wanting to kind of measure things without having something in hand, like a measuring device, you could use your palm. I'm sorry, your fist. Your thumb is about 1 tablespoon. So when we're talking about your thumb, we just mean like from the bend area up. And then your palm, not including your fingers and thumb, is about 3 ounces of meat. So another recommendation is you could use a food scale if it helps you. Sometimes people will do that. I think that's a wonderful way. And then the tip of your thumb is about 1 teaspoon. So varying between 1 teaspoon and 1 tablespoon. And then I also want to mention here, let me dismiss this. I want to mention here 2 serving sizes. Some serving sizes just to kind of get an idea. Starches, a lot of times your packaging will have this included on the serving size so that you'll know how many calories, how many grams of protein, how many sugars and all of that is in there. But if you're kind of like just guesstimating, a slice of bread is typically 1 serving. Now, if you get some of the lighter versions, sometimes uh, they'll actually have those as two pieces. Um, sorry for all the pop-ups, guys. Um, Fruit, 1 piece of fresh fruit, or a cup of chopped or canned, a cup of juice. Now, sometimes that can vary a little bit, like bananas. Sometimes a half a banana might be considered a serving size, but for the most part, a lot of your fruit will be one apple or 1 peach or whatever. And then non-starchy vegetables, 1 cup of raw leafy, or a half a cup of other vegetables cooked or raw, or three-fourths a cup of vegetable juice. Meats, 1 ounce cooked, one large egg, a fourth a cup of egg substitute, or 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. And then milk, 1 cup of low fat milk, two-thirds cup of yogurt, or 1.5 cup low fat cheese. And then some supplement recommendations for protein bars. I know whenever I worked for a bariatric surgery program, this is kind of the guidelines we use. Your program may have a little bit different for that, but to be kind of balanced, at least 15 grams of protein per 8 ounce or 1 cup or bar, less than 20 grams of total carbohydrates, and then less than 10 grams of fat. So I'll leave that pulled up again for a moment. You still there, Brittany?
Yeah, I'm
Still
still
see and
here.
hear me okay? Okay. So, and I'm going to stop sharing. That was everything on our little handout. And again, you guys can access that through the little link down below or through, I think we posted the link a little earlier if you're just now joining
Yes,
us.
I did share
Um,
a couple links, but the very first one I shared was the one that had the handout.
and I can do that just again because and on that page, so I'll just paste it here one more time. And as far as making your plate, anybody have any questions or comments regarding that? Has anybody ever used the making your plate method as opposed to, counting calories, as opposed to eating just a specific type of diet, whether you're new to bariatric surgery? Of course, this is more for maintenance phase than it is, your earlier phases, like when you're just fresh post-op. This is more for maintenance. Let's see. But that I think is everything that I have. I hope that was helpful for you guys
Yeah.
and kind of put you in perspective. I think it's all about balance and just making sure, because if you have a balanced plate, it's going to be more likely that you're going to have the balance in everything that you're needing for your body, including a lot of the minerals and vitamins. We're actually sponsored by a vitamin company, so we can share. We have a few minutes here. We can share just a few moments on our sponsor, and then also we want to share with you guys, if any of you aren't uh, subscribed as a you don't follow us, I can show you that. If you follow us on our Crowdcast channel, you get notifications of upcoming events. I'll show you that here real quick, and I'll share the link. I'll copy that. um, But here we are. There should be, if you guys come to this link here in just a moment, there should be a little button where it says edit here on mine. It should say follow. And you'll get notifications of any kind of upcoming event that we have. Some things that we'll have coming up soon is we're going to have Rachel Blanton coming on, Fighting Failures, Finding Freedom. We're going to be doing a support group on the 16th, and our support group let me pull that up here just for a second. It's going to be on meal prep made simple. And we are also going to be doing portion perfection with tips. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Amanda Clark, she's developed portion perfection plates. And we may even be doing a little giveaway with that one. We also have what is collagen and why do people use it. And we have a giveaway separate from our normal bariatric support groups, and that one is in February, where it's all going to be about self-care. I'm going to be giving away lots and lots of products and stuff like that, so
Mm-hmm.
that'll be a fun one to view. Now, some of these we talked about already, but these are past events. We have over, I think, like I just looked earlier today, I think it was like 56 past events that you guys are welcome to look through, and you can subscribe to any of these and view them. They're all free. Things like the skinny latte swap, which is up there in the corner. We did an interview with Jessica on our she's an Instagram influencer and TikTok influencer, Sleep Brittany Alone. She talked about her weight loss journey,
Mm-hmm.
and also her plastic surgery. We also have the go-to shopping list. We have had various speakers like Mel and Kelly from Our Sleeve Life and Maddie down here. We did a fashion show at Macy's. I don't know, there's just tons and tons and tons of stuff. This is the fitness trainer that we're talking about, Amy, who our ProCare team has been working with.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna be with her
Um, so
tomorrow.
Sorry about that. I don't know why it popped off. I guess I clicked onto it. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to let Brittany share a little bit here too about ProCare, our sponsor. So um, it looks like we have a couple comments. Brittany, while you're pulling that up, I'll kind of read some of the comments here.
Okay.
It looks like Carol says, I have a quick question on the skinny latte. It looks like you've answered her. And she has the handout. And Carol says, thanks, Brittany, got it. And Lovey says, I'm 3.5 years post-op Why, and this is a great refresher. Thank you. Yeah, you know what? To me, it's always it's inspirational to go back and go to the basics and like look at what we're doing and know that you can make little tweaks and changes in your diet. I think for us, like Brittany talked about us being on um a little more of a healthcare journey this year, we've been like tweaking our diets. And I mean, it's helped me. I think I had lost like around 8 pounds just doing little tweaks, drinking more water, eating more protein, watching what kind of things I'm eating and drinking. So super helpful. And I'll kind of let you take over here, Brittany.
So we have a couple of, if you've not heard of ProCare Health, welcome. I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about us as a company. So we actually were the very first company to create a once daily bariatric multivitamin. ProCare Health has been around for about 10 years, 10-ish years, I think, yeah. And we're known most for our innovative products and our affordability. So as I said, we were the first company to create a once daily bariatric multivitamin. You guys can you see this, Brenda? This page?
Yes, very
Okay,
good.
I just wanted to show them our affordability. So, here's our capsule formula with 45 milligrams of iron. We also offer 3 different levels of iron. We offer 45, 18, and iron free. Of course, they come in 30 or 90-day count supplies, and a 30-day count, so a month supply is only $11.99 with ProCare. Super affordable, and so there's really no reason for you guys not to be taking your vitamins. And then we also have our chewable too. So I wanted to show you guys that. We offer fruit punch in citrus. Once again, it's only $11.99 for a 30-day supply. And we also are the only company that offers a prenatal multivitamin for women who have had bariatric surgery. That one is a twice daily dosage, but still very affordable. If you know anyone who maybe has a little one on the way, that would be a perfect Christmas gift for them. We also are really well known for our calcium supplements, our calcium dark chocolate bars. Were just added, well, not just added, it's December already, so they were added in the beginning of October. If you don't know, this is a seasonal product. It is real chocolate, so it just doesn't ship very well in the warmer months. That's why it's a seasonal product, but this stuff is amazing. Brendan and I actually went on a retreat for bariatric patients in California, and if you were there and you tried it, then you know how great they are. We also offer
We used them for our s'mores event, didn't we, Brittany?
yeah, we did, and it was really, really good. Like a lot of people could not even tell the difference between that and the regular chocolate that we also offered. And we also do offer calcium soft chews too. Unfortunately, right now our sea salted caramel is sold out, but we're hoping that we'll get a restock for you guys soon. So look out for us announcing that if you're waiting on that. But we do offer our dinner mint, which is a really good flavor, and we also offer our cinnamon roll. And if you're wondering, the dosage is the same for all 3 flavors. It's all 500 milligrams of calcium in each calcium chew. So, and once again, super affordable products. A 90 count is only $30. So, I think that's about it. If you haven't tried ProCare Health and you would like to, I would urge you to try our free samples that we have. You just click this link at the top of our website. I went ahead and put the link to our website in the chat box as well. And you just go ahead and fill out this information here. If you have a particular flavor of calcium chew that you would like to try, I would put that in the message here. But yeah, that's I
Brittany,
think that's
one
it.
thing I want to mention too that when you were going through the calcium, I also want to say that they are all natural. A lot of times that's important to people, and
Yes.
that we do have probiotics and vitamin D in those as well.
Yes.
And we're
Brittany's
the only
correct.
company to be all natural. That's very
Mhm.
unusual. So if that's something that's really of interest to you, they have all natural products. That would be a great go-to.
And what we mean by that is no sugar, alcohols, no artificial sweeteners. It's gluten free. Um, yeah. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to us. That's what we're here for. Whether it's vitamins or surgery related, or just want to talk to somebody, that's what we're here for. So
Absolutely. And I'm going to put our email here. We have the support email.
yeah, I was gonna say probably the support one would be the best one.
I'm going to type that in here for us. And is there anything else, anybody else have anything that they want to say?
I do not.
I know I'm typing on two different computers, and that's why it wasn't working like I was wanting it to. So support at procarenow.com. Okay, there we go. So please feel free to message Brittany and I with any comments or questions or anything that you have, and we'd love to get back with you here. So I think that's everything for today. We love you guys, and we hope to see you again really soon. Our next event is next week, and it looks like that event is going to be on December 15th, which is, I'm sorry, we're skipping a week. We're skipping a week because I forgot I'm
Hmm.
off. I'm in Colorado going to a wedding.
And I
But
will
we'll be
be in New
joining you guys again.
York.
Brittany's gone too, aren't you?
I'm going to be in New York. Yes. Uh,
So we
for
will be joining you, I
business, but
guess,
yes.
December 15th. December 15th. Um, and that's Fighting Failures, Finding Freedom with Rachel Blanton. And we love her. She is the biggest sweetheart. You
She's
guys are going to love
amazing.
her too as well.
Hmm.
So
All right.
enjoy the wedding and thank you. And Brittany, you enjoy working over there too. You
It's I've never been to New York City. I'm staying in Brooklyn, and I met a friend at the retreat that's actually going to show me around the city, and we're going to have a good time on Monday together. And then Tuesday I'm having all my work meetings, and Wednesday I'm having all my work meetings, and then I fly home Thursday. So it'll be perfect, a perfect trip. I get to see the
yeah.
city designed for or decorated for Christmas, and I just hope it's not too cold. But if we have any people from New York, make sure you say hi.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll give them a second. And you can even look back on the replays. If somebody's listening to the
Yeah.
replay later, this is going to be available probably within just about 5 minutes. It's usually 5 to 10 minutes is usually available
Mm-hmm.
for replays. So let us know. But I think that's everything. So we're going to go ahead and end. But again, hope all of you have a wonderful week, two
Yeah.
weeks, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.